What's up, traders? Welcome back for another installment of the Indicator series. Today we're going to do a little walkthrough on the TJD Jewel Thief. I've published a couple of different versions of this indicator. There's a link in the description for the free version. There's also an upgraded version with additional features available exclusive to the members. Both the free and members version accomplish the same things, but the members version has a couple of extra features. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. All right, so we're going to get started here on the Bitcoin weekly chart. You can use this indicator on any time frame or any asset. It works extremely well in both trending and also range-bound markets. It is important, however, with any indicator to understand that you need to identify if you're in an uptrend, a downtrend, or a sideways market, and that's going to help you be much more effective when using said indicator. So here we can see the indicator down at the bottom here, and there's a couple of different components to this, but overall pretty simple. So just getting started here with the basics, we're going to take a look at the actual indicator itself, and then we can practice using it a little bit on the chart and see how effective it is and what to look out for. So there's a couple just basic components to the actual indicator itself. We have essentially our neutral line here right at 50, and then we have our 0 line and our 100 line. And normally you're going to operate within that 0 to 100 range, but we do have one element of this that is not constrained by normality. So that being said, once we get above 80, we see this blue line right here, horizontal, and that is the entrance of the bullish control zone. And once we enter into the bullish control zone, we're going to see that the background highlights in red. So every time our blue stochastic goes above the 80 point, it means the bulls are in control. And when we exit that level, we're going to lose the red background, and it's just going to go back to our regular black background. We also have the cross itself, which is when the blue and pink cross. And whenever they cross to the downside, the blue is above and crosses below. We're going to get this pink hard sell signal. And then whenever we see the blue crossing above the pink, we're going to get this blue hard buy signal. And just like we have the bullish control zone in red right here when we're above the 80 level, we have the bearish control zone when the blue stochastic passes down below that 20 level. So whenever we see the highlighted red background, it's clear to us the bulls are in control, and as long as we're above that 80 level, the bulls are maintaining control. But once they start to lose that control is when we're expecting a decent little pullback or reversal of the trend. And same thing with the green highlighted level. Whenever we're below that 20 level, it means the bears are in control. And then once we exit that 20 level, once we get the cross between the blue and the pink stochastics, we're going to get that hard buy signal, and it's going to highlight the background here in blue. And if we just zoom in here a little bit as well, we'll see that there's actually like a hard printed S signal right here also. And then here we see one in blue as well. And you have the ability to basically turn on or off any of this stuff depending on what you like and how it's working for you. So now that we talked about the actual zones and everything like that, this is a pretty basic indicator. We have the blue is going to be your first stochastic, and then the pink is your second stochastic. And the idea being that we're not so much focused on the overall trend of the markets using this indicator, but we're essentially just looking for areas the market is oscillating within a range. So if the trend is bullish, we might be oscillating up and down, but overall putting in higher highs and higher lows. And then if the trend is bearish, we might be oscillating up and down, but we're going to slowly just put in lower lows and lower highs. And the idea being that depending on what time frame we're on, we can either use this to scalp, enter a positional trade, or possibly even an investment. And there is one other element to this indicator, and that is our knife right here. And we'll see the knife is essentially this red line, and then it flips into green. The knife is not constrained in the same way at the 0 and also the 100. So if we just zoom out here a little bit, we'll see here it actually went slightly over 100. Here it went well above 100, actually up to like 118. And here we see once where it went really, really low down to negative 23. Normally the stochastics and most of your other indicator oscillators are going to operate in a 0 to 100 range, and they're just going to oscillate in that level. So when you're up at the 100 range, it means you're elevated and probably going to see a reset at some point in time. So what we're looking for is when that reset occurs to enter into a short position or take profits on our long position, etc. And then vice versa, when we're in the bearish control zone for some amount of time and then we begin to exit that bearish control zone is when we're going to try to take advantage of the trend back to the upside. So the knife here essentially is just looking at the current price action and then essentially just showing us when we see like an outlier move. And the idea is there's two key levels that the knife is really good at pointing out. And it's confirmed breakouts and then like macro tops and bottoms. So very often we'll see like a very strong selling come in like this, and we'll see we drop down from a key level. Well, here in 2018, we had been holding this support for literally months. And then finally, when that support breaks, we get the big aggressive move on the knife. So that is a knife essentially telling us we have just broken through a key level. And now all of a sudden, so there's an actual shift in the market. And the same thing right here, we consolidated down below that level for a long time, and then we finally got back to that level. And when we broke out, we see the knife was already aggressively trending, and then we see a massive spike on the knife. It doesn't mean that was the actual top of the price action. It just means that we're seeing like an outlier in price action. So what we look for is these very aggressive stabs on the knife, and then either potentially divergence if we're looking for a top or a bottom, or just confirming a breakout if we are trading under a level and then we immediately break through it, or we're trading above a level and we break down through it. And the green is going to tell you when that is trending to the upside, and the red is going to tell you when it's trending to the downside. Now there's a lot more to this indicator, and it can get pretty serious. Whenever we have the stochastics trending in one direction and then the knife breaks above them, that is usually the beginning of a move, and same vice versa. Whenever we're trending to the upside and then the knife breaks down below them, that tells us typically we're going to go into some kind of consolidation or pullback. But the beauty of this indicator is that there's really not that much to it. It may seem a little bit complicated in like this initial explanation, but it's super basic. Our goal is to essentially look for, once we enter into a bullish control zone and then we exit that level, or the red goes away, and then we see our hard sell signal, and that's where we want to take profits or sell. And then again, the same thing on the bullish side. When we're down here inside of the bearish control zone and it turns green, we're waiting till we exit that bullish control zone and we see that cross take place, and then we're going to get this blue buy signal, and that's when we're going to potentially look to take a long position. And it's not always going to be perfect, but essentially what we're trying to do is just capture those oscillations within the range. So here we have essentially a downtrend that we've been in on crypto for years at this point in time, lower highs and lower lows. But along the way, we see areas where we were inside of the bullish control zone. We see areas where we're inside of the bearish control zone. So the trend is still important, but rather than actually just entering a position and then taking advantage of the entire trend, we're looking to like trade in and out of those bullish and bearish periods. So one of the easiest things to do is just go ahead and pull up our indicator oscillator right here. And then all we're going to do is just go through and basically take our vertical line tool, and we're just going to highlight the area where we get a hard buy signal or a hard sell signal. All right, so I went through and did all of the ones here. So let's just pull the chart back up here. So now we see whenever we have that hard sell signal and we've left the bullish control zone, we're going to see the red vertical line here. And whenever we have left the bearish control zone and we get the hard buy signal, we're going to see the blue vertical line right here. So just essentially using the areas, the strict buy and sell signals from this indicator, we can see here that it would basically have us selling here and then buying here. So we avoid a 77% downtrend, or short and make 77%. And then it has us buy right here and we move to the upside. So that's going to be about a 204% gain. And then here we see the sell signal again. So we're going to move to the downside. Now here we don't get a hard sell signal to get back into the trade. So you do need to like trail a stop or have some other levels or something like that. But again, avoid a massive sell off right here. And then again, we see one at the peak here, a buy here. And then actually we continue down slightly, and then we do see a buy. And that one led us to about that like 60+% move right there. So that's all we're really trying to do. Now, sometimes you're going to get a signal like this where you see a hard sell signal, but we're still inside of the bullish control zone. And that means that we're still trending powerfully to the upside. So those are the most powerful signals, the one that comes after that. So here we see the back is all still red right here, and we get the hard sell signal, which means the blue stochastic has crossed below the pink stochastic, but we never exit the bullish control zone. So we stay inside of this 80 to 100 level and continue to bounce. But when we do, we push up to a higher high here on price action, but we see a lower high on the blue stochastic, some bearish divergence between those points. And then we get the hard sell signal, exit the bullish control zone, and that's when we get the aggressive dump to the downside. So it is important to pay attention to, sometimes you're going to get a signal like this, and we call this a false signal if we don't then exit the bullish control zone. So that's it, pretty basic, nothing too crazy right here. There's obviously some more advanced ways that you can take advantage of it. If we pull up the actual indicator right here, you'll see there's a bunch of different inputs, and this is the main differentiation between the regular Joule Thief and the members exclusive Joule Thief. Is I essentially have it so that you can turn on and off the buy and sell signals for any cross. So here we see that the only crosses where we would get hard buys and hard sells before were when we exited the bullish control zone or we exited the bearish control zone. Now you can see we have buys and sells here in the middle of the range. And essentially all that means is if we have those turned off, it's going to ignore any signals that take place inside the 20 to 80 level. And it's only going to give you the hard buys and sells when you're above those levels. And the goal behind that is to essentially just eliminate some of the false signals. So here we have a pretty aggressive sell-off right here. And then here we see a buy, a sell, a buy, a sell, a buy. So there's a lot of noise in this level. It doesn't mean you can't use that noise to your advantage. But for most people, you're not looking to make a million trades. If you do, just go to a shorter time frame and still use the strict criteria so you get less false signals. So it is a pretty simple indicator right here. And once you spend a little bit of time getting used to it, throwing it on some charts and looking at what kind of signals you're getting from it, it can be very profitable, especially if you use this alongside a momentum or trend-based indicator. You can then eliminate some of the more bearish or more bullish signs, and it becomes exponentially more efficient and effective. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's great for scalping, great for positional trading, and then also just for longer term investments as well. You can, of course, check out the link down below for the free version, or if you're interested in joining the group and getting the exclusive version, you could reach out to me as well. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to take a look at the TJD Joule Thief indicator, kind of do a little basic updated explanation and offer that out to the community. Stochastics are very powerful and can definitely be profitable if incorporated into your trading strategy. But as always, please remember this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. So yeah, that's it. Another installment of the indicator series down. If you have any questions or anything, leave them down below. And if you haven't been using this indicator already, give it a shot. If you have, let me know how you like it. All right, crypto trend trader, and I'll catch you on the flip side.